Welcome everyone. Today we are going to do our first lesson in the Learn to Play Piano for Beginners class on OutSchool. There's still room in this class, so make sure to go and check out the schedules and see if you can get it in. This class is a live class, so today it's not live. You're watching a video of this and you can work on everything and get everything set up. So the reason I'm doing this one as not live and is just to give you an idea of what the class is like, what we're going to talk about, and also to give you some time to get your setup just right, okay? So make sure before class that you go out and you get the Faber Piano Adventures, and so it's the primer level. It looks just like this. It's purple, opens up sideways. We need the one that says lesson book, and we need the one that says theory book. Now on the back of these there are lots and lots of other options. Technique is a really nice one. There's short little clips to help them work on extra things. There's also flashcards. I can read music, so they're extra little activities they can do over and above this. So you're more than welcome to get any of those things. It often comes in a pack, a value pack on Amazon, so if you want to take a look at that too, that's a great option. But for now, we're just going to work on these two, okay, in this class. So it's a group class. And we are all we are all at home. We all get to stay in the comfort of our own home. You don't need to go out in the minus 30 something Celsius that I have today, so you can stay home and stay warm. Okay, so before we really get too far into playing the piano, we have to be able to sit correctly. So what I want you to do is, if you have your book, we are actually going to be looking at page 4 and 5. So we're especially going to be talking about page 4 today. So as you're setting up at the piano, I realize not everyone in this class has a piano. That's okay. You do need a keyboard, and a keyboard is fine. Even if it's a shorter keyboard, that's okay, as long as the keys are the same size as a normal piano or keyboard, a full-size piano or keyboard. We don't want the toy-sized ones because that creates really bad habits, makes it really hard for the kids to play. So I always recommend, if you're not sure if your kids will like it, just maybe try something smaller. Go to a used site and get a used piano, a used keyboard. Be careful if you're buying a real piano. The really big ones that are old and antique are not necessarily a good deal, even if they are free, because often you can't tune them and they're really hard to get rid of. So often when people talk to me about those, the best, and they can't get rid of them, the best thing I can say is make art out of them, which I do have lots of art from Piano on the Walls for that reason. Okay. So we're going to start with sitting at the piano or at your keyboard. So I know a lot of my students do sit just at a table with a keyboard. So this is going to be the trickiest spot, is if you have that situation. If you have a proper bench and you have a proper piano or proper keyboard with the bench, then your height is going to be pretty close to correct. Okay? If your student is a bit shorter or younger, you may need to put a pillow underneath their bum, and you may need a stool under their feet. Okay, so we want our feet to be able to touch flat on the floor. If you slide up a little bit on your piano bench, a little bit forwards rather than sitting back, so we're going to slide forwards on your piano bench, then sometimes that helps our feet to touch the ground. Okay, if you can't touch the ground, you can just get a plain old, just get a stool from a dollar store, or use some old textbooks. I have a fancy one that actually uses the pedals and everything, and I can change the height as my students grow. But that's because I teach lots of students and I know I'm going to use this for many years. I'm not sure if I would buy this necessarily for one child or even a few children at home. Okay, we won't use that as much, but you can, if you can get some kind of stool, that would be great. So we are always going to sit nice and tall when we're about to play. So I'm fine with you being slouchy in between songs. That's all totally up to you. We need to relax at some point. But when you're ready to play, we need to be tall. So you're going to pretend that you have a string on the top of your head and you are a puppet, just like Pinocchio. And they are pulling you all the way up. Okay, so I don't want to be sitting so straight that I'm curved out and it hurts. It shouldn't hurt. I just want you to lengthen your body nice and tall. Okay? See, I'm lengthening myself all the way out of the picture because I'm lengthening so tall. All right, sorry about that. Here we go. So once we're lengthened nice and tall, we're going to take both hands and we're going to create fists. And have you ever seen like Superman when he flies? He goes, da, 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 da. So we're going to do kind of a Superman pose. If you've ever done the Superman exercises too in gym class where you're on your stomach and you have to pull your arms up. It's that kind of idea. So we're going to push them out straight. And we're going to touch them on the fall board. So the fall board is this piece here. Many pianos have a piece that comes up and it will fall down. But mine falls out, that's why it's called a fall board, because it falls down. So if you have a keyboard, you're just gonna touch the back of the keys here. There'll be like a black part at the back. So that's kind of where you want to be. So we're gonna touch to the back, and you should be able to sit up straight with your string, take your hands, push them out, and you should be able to touch without moving. See, I'm a little too far back. There we go, perfect. And then we should be able to just drop our elbows just like that. Now, do you see the angle of my elbow right now? I'm not here. If it is a perfect 90 degree, I'm probably too close. Okay, so we need to be stretched out a little bit. And we also don't want to be totally straight. Okay? If your child is getting an angle like this, they are sitting too low. Okay, so you should be coming from above. The elbow needs to be somewhere above. Okay, so that means pillows or cushions under your body. Sometimes it's pretty tricky to get that perfection above. So get as close as you can. Whatever you can manage with what you have, okay, is fine. And we'll check in the first few classes. I'll be watching very closely to posture, and I'll make corrections as we go through the class as well. So that's the fun part about this class, is it's group. You get the price of an online class, so you're not having to pay that fee every month like my students do when they come here. But you also get that one-on-one attention from a teacher, so I will be making corrections, so you do need to be set up at your piano during class, okay? Now, so once we're here, we need to have nice rounded hands, okay? So we don't want to play flat finger. It's not going to work. So what I want you to do for me is I want you to take your hands and I put them really, really straight, okay, really straight. And I want you to move them as fast as you can, really straight, really, really straight. Fast, 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 go, 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 go. Okay. Ow, that kind of hurt me. I don't know about you, that kind of hurt. Okay, now I want you to shake them out and drop them. Now don't add anything, just pull them up. Don't get tense, just leave them shaken out and bring them straight up, and you kind of have this like flop hand, okay? It's like a floppy hand. So that's kind of the position you want. You want the most natural position of your hand, because the most natural position of your hand is gonna make sure you don't get hurt while you play. Okay, so we want that natural position. And then once you're in that natural position, I want you to try playing as fast as you can. So move your fingers as fast as you can. Much easier, isn't it? Completely easier. So much easier. That is why we need our hands in that position, okay? So what I want you to do, I have this little guy right here. My grandpa made him for me. He's fantastic. My little pet Rock. So my snail is my piano pet, and I want you to find a piano pet. So what you need to do is find a rock. It doesn't have to be on a snail part. If you don't have a 90-year-old grandpa that still does welding, don't worry about it. So get a rock, and I want you to decorate it. So when I was a kid, I decorated a ladybug one. I know my kids have done monsters. Like jewel rocks, so they're like covered in sparkles, so it looks like it's a magical rock. You could do spiders. You could do just a rock if you find a really cool rock. Oh, I had a student make a rock out of Lego too. That was really cool. So what I want you to do is have that rock, and that rock needs to fit in the palm of your hand. So everybody's rock might be just slightly different. Okay, so my rock doesn't fit all my students. Some of them have smaller hands, so this one doesn't fit for them. So what happens is you should be able to just set your hand right on top of that rock without issue. So I'm going to close my piano just for a second so you can see. So here's my rock, and I should be able to just put my hand like this and play. Now the trick with the rock is I can't flatten my hand, can I? Oh, it's in the way. So my pet rock is my reminder that I need to have nice rounded hands over top, okay? And that thumb always just stays relaxed on the side. So when we play with our thumb, we kind of tap it on the edge. So it goes on the side of your thumb, not on the, we don't try to get the tip. That's really hard. It's kind of one of those things. My dad used to always say, if I'd say, oh, my stomach hurts, he'd say, well, if it hurts, don't do it. So if you said, oh, I can't breathe, well, if you can't breathe, if it hurts, don't do it. Well, come on, Dad, I have to breathe. But it's sort of like that with piano. If it hurts, you're probably doing something not quite right. So make sure to ask me if it hurts. Let's see if we can find a better position for you. Okay? So we want you to always to feel natural. We want it to always feel comfortable. Okay? Now I know that sitting up tall can get tiring after a little while, but we're going to start off slow, okay, and build up your muscles. It just depends on how you sit at home and how you sit. I know I'm a sloucher, So sitting up tall sometimes is a little tricky. Okay, so that's the most important thing that you need to do first is just figure out your setup with your piano, your keyboard. Now, where should your piano or your keyboard be? It should be somewhere where you see it all the time so that every day you just sit down and play. Okay, so I even leave my books right there. Whatever I'm working on stays here. Okay, mine, I guess I shouldn't say mine stays here. Mine stays here, but then I have students every day, so it kind of sticks right behind here, but I can easily grab it. Or you can put it inside your piano bench, so you can easily grab it right away. I like to leave it out, and I like to leave it open on the page that I'm working on so that, bam, it's right there. I walk in the room and I can practice. Okay? A couple other key tools in our lessons. Now, one of the best things about piano is it teaches you how to be responsible, how to practice, how if you work hard, you get a better result, because the harder you work, the more you practice, the better the song is going to sound. You're going to hear it right away. It's just going to be easier. It's going to make sense. It's going to be fun. If you don't practice, it's going to get hard really fast, and it's not going to be as much fun because you're having to work so hard, and you're going to have to, okay, so it's sort of an effort thing, right? How much effort? Same as sports. I mean, I would love to be a professional swimmer or runner, but I really don't like running, so I don't run very often. Or ever. So I'm probably not going to win the Boston Marathon if I never run, am I? Right? So it's that same idea. So what I want you to do also is with that responsibility and learning how to work hard and get better is you're also responsible to keep track of what you're supposed to do. Okay? So every day I'll give you assignments. Now what I recommend and what I do with all my students is I have these lovely little tabs. You can use any kind of tabs. I use the ones that are a little bit more plasticky. They come in a thing like this. They're the Post-it ones. I like these the best because they last all the way through the book. If you use the paper ones, often they start ripping. But you use whatever you have around the house. And I use one for each song that they're supposed to do. So some students have 5 on there because they're supposed to be working on 5 different things. Some only have 1 because they're only working on 1 thing. So have a few, and then when we're not using them, I stick them in the front so then I can use them over again. So we just kind of keep recycling the same 4 or 5 that we have, okay? Now, once I have that, I'll see if I can find a good page. This one is my son, so, or his old one, so it's a little bit different than I write. Anyway, if say I have this one right here, I would then write, since today is January the 9th, I would write January 9th on here so that I know that that was the last lesson day, that is what I'm supposed to practice. So anything with January 9th, that's what I'm supposed to practice. Now, there's a big, big rule in music, no pens allowed. It's just like math. In math class, you cannot use a pen because you can't erase it to make corrections, right? It's the same in music. You can't erase pen to make corrections, so we want you to use a pencil. So I have my Bucket-O pencils. I really like fun pencils. Oops. So, but what all you need to do, you could have your bucket of pencils, or you can just leave one pencil on the stand right there at all times, or with your book or in your bag, in your music bag, if you have a music bag, okay? So make sure you have some pencils always handy for class and have it ready to go. We will also be doing some ear training, some things so where we listen and then we have to circle in our theory books. So make sure you have a pencil for that as well. Okay, so we'll put our tabs in our theory book and in our lesson book, and we'll have our pencil. Okay, you're welcome to have your parents sitting nearby to help you find the pages, do whatever you want. You're welcome to just do it on your own, and I always try to leave the recording in the classroom afterwards so that you can watch again if you're kind of lost in what do I do, how do I do that again, okay? So again, that's a really good thing. My students who come here, if they're not sure, them and their parents have to kind of figure it out, and they're not sure, if they can't remember what we did in that one song, how do I do that again and completely forget? Then they can look back. You can look back. They can't, okay? They have to send me a message and say, I'm lost, okay? But if you are lost, you can still message me and say, hey, I'm lost. What do? I don't know. And I'll do my best to explain it to you, okay? The other thing that you need, so we have our book, our pencil, and then the other thing we'll start with is flashcards, but that's maybe a little bit later on. I'll start getting you to try and do a few flashcards and games and things like that. So make sure you leave your piano books out. If you don't have a spot that you can leave them out, maybe have a bag that you put everything in. Okay, there'll be the odd time I give you a printable, but usually I try not to with this class. We try to stick right to the books. but I will give you other resources and things for you to look at and learn about. So we're going to start right from the very first stages all the way down, okay? So one last little thing I want you to try doing before our first class is I want you to go on to page 6. And on page 6, it asks you to trace your hands. So I want you to trace your hands, and I want you to label the numbers. So for our fingers, we have finger 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and I'll talk more about that in the very first class, what our finger numbers are, where they are, what they're for, and how to read them. Okay, but for now, I want you to go draw those hands. So make sure you have the books. Make sure you've purchased them. They're available on Amazon. They're available from your local music store, I'm quite certain. But definitely on Amazon. If not, Sheet Music Plus is a great place to get music as well. And I'm sure there's lots of other places. I'm in Canada, so some of our places are a little bit different depending on what country you're in and that sort of thing. But I find Amazon is usually the best option for that one. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have a friend that would like to sign up, make sure to send them this video. If they're not sure, send them this video. You can send it to anyone you like and say, hey, this is going to be a fun class, join us. Okay, so make sure you watch the video about just the mechanics of how to set up microphones, that sort of thing. Make sure that you've watched that prior to class, and then we'll get going. So the first class, I'm just going to get to know you. I would like to meet you because music is about making friends, playing music, and having fun together. So we're going to do that in our first class, and we're going to just double check our setups, our finger numbers, and try and get playing a few notes in that first class. Okay, so I'll see you next week. Bye everybody.